Spider-Man Brand New Day is the most retarded piece of shit I've seen in a very long time.
Can you smell that? What is that? Sheep, is it? It's cows? No, I know what it is. It's bullshit.
Welcome, lads and ladies. Today we'll have the displeasure of checking out a video called Spider-Man Brand New Day is Woke Slop by Ranting for Vengeance, or as I like to call him, Ranting for Racists. So let's check it out.
Spider-Man Brand New Day is the most retarded piece of shit I've seen in a very long time.
Wait, you've seen the film already? What the hell, man? Send me a copy, I want to see it.
Somehow 4 movies into Tom Holland's run as Spider-Man still has him falling around the place, acting like a complete handicap.
Some of these are out of context, but I would assume it's because he's still learning how to use his powers, since he'll be getting organic webs and will probably get stronger.
Even with 4 movies and a new universe under his belt.
When did he get a new universe? This movie still takes place in the main MCU continuity.
This guy still manages to be the biggest cock known to man.
She speaks the bullshit.
How is Peter a cuck when him and MJ aren't even together? She doesn't even know who he is.
Oh yeah, and just because they shittily recreated some classic comic covers doesn't make this absolute cinema anywhere near good. Especially for the people who are hyping this up and saying that it's amazing. You haven't read any of the comics that they're referencing.
As someone who has read Amazing Fantasy 15, what does reading the comics have to do with appreciating the fact that the filmmakers took the time to recreate these covers?
And also, ignoring all of that, it just looks like it was made by AI for spastics on Twitter who eat up every single piece of guy slop they get fed. But before we get into it, if you like these type of videos and if you want to help out the channel, maybe consider subscribing or supporting me over on Patreon.
I'd rather set my balls on fire.
And if you're somebody who's hate watching this video, then just know that it's not rage bait, it's not lying, it's not misinformation. This isn't coming from somebody who doesn't read comic books. This is just the truth. That Spider-Man Brand New Day isn't comic accurate, it's not a good Spider-Man movie, and it does so many things that go against the entire Marvel universe, Spider-Man as a character, and superheroes in general, so it can't be accepted than anything else other than just plain garbage.
Again, bro, if you've got early access to the film, send it over, I want to see it. Oh, you haven't seen it? Then how do you know it's bad? Oh, you're chatting out your ass. Got it.
Any real fan of Spider-Man would reject this bullshit on the spot. Stop trying to nostalgia bait people and pull them in because you recreated Spider-Man's first cover. How about you actually adapt Amazing Fantasy number 15? And then you'd have a good movie on your hands and not whatever the fuck Spider-Cuck is meant to be here.
How exactly are they going to adapt Amazing Fantasy 15? We're way past Peter's origin. It would be stupid to adapt it now.
So this isn't going to be some 20-minute video because we already know the deal with this movie. It looks like the biggest piece of shit known to man, made by Grok in an afternoon. But as you expect, it has all of the NPCs who don't read comic books and have definitely never read these Spider-Man comic books and are just eating this up because it's a brand new Marvel product that they need to love and it can't be anything other than a 10 out of 10. Before I continue, that's a little message for the type of people who love this stuff and attack people who have any different opinion.
Aren't you pretty much attacking people who like the Brand New Day trailer? So you're attacking them for their opinion.
You know, you can just turn around and say Spider-Man Brand New Day doesn't look nearly as good as any other Spider-Man movie ever made, and it kind of looks mediocre. You don't have to say that you hate it, you don't have to say that it looks garbage or political. You could just say that it's not really that great, because being objective, that's what this movie is. No matter what way you look at it, it's a complete failure in writing.
This film isn't objectively good or objectively bad. That is a subjective matter. What you like, others might not. What others like, you might not. That's what an opinion is.
and as a Spider-Man movie. The only good Spider-Man movies ever made that were comic accurate and objectively the best were Sam Raimi's Spider-Man trilogy. It wasn't the Christopher Nolan Amazing Spider-Man 1, and it wasn't the cringe race swap rom-com music video that was the Amazing Spider-Man 2. And by God, was it not Into the Spider-Verse or Across the Spider-Verse, because those aren't Spider-Man movies. Peter Parker is Spider-Man. Miles Morales is a kid from the hood.
He has this weird obsession with Miles being from the hood, even though he isn't. I wonder why he keeps pushing that narrative.
Which in every iteration never fails to be political, obnoxious, and retarded. But anyways, moving back to Spider-Man Brand New Day, I can't believe it, they recreated the first Spider-Man cover. How about you actually read that comic and then you'll realize why the movie looks garbage. Read any issue from the Steve Ditko Spider-Man run and it'll debunk any leftist on Twitter and every single Spider-Man movie that followed.
I've read both of those issues and I still think the trailer looks good.
Except the Sam Raimi ones, which took inspiration from the original and best Steve Ditko Spider-Man comics. That's one thing I'll say, I'm not a Spider-Man expert. I haven't read every single era and every single comic, but I have read the Steve Ditko stuff, which I love. Any person that knows anything about comics knows that the Steve Ditko run is the only one really worth a shit. Even the annoying Marxist himself, Alan Moore, thought the exact same thing.
There are plenty of good runs worth reading. Kraven's Last Hunt, Spider-Man Blue, Spider-Man Life Story, Ultimate Spider-Man, and many more. I personally, despite 2 of the story arcs, I really enjoyed Spider-Man by JMS.
Sorry to break it to you, Steve Ditko created Spider-Man, and by no means was he a leftist or a Marxist or Jewish. Which kind of sounds weird, but trust me, there's a lot of people out there that believe that Peter Parker, Spider-Man, is a Jewish communist.
No one thinks Spider-Man is a communist. You just straight up made that up. And you're right, Steve Ditko wasn't Jewish. But do you know who was? Stan Lee. And do you know which character Stan Lee helped co-create? That's right.
Which there's just so many contradictions. Like, didn't Aunt May and Uncle Ben get buried in a graveyard? And didn't Spider-Man ask for consent before kissing Mary Jane? Just small stuff like that. Like, Spider-Man crawls on walls and buildings. He doesn't really crawl in sewers. So he can't really be Jewish, right?
What the fuck did you just say?
So yeah, my point on Amazing Fantasy is that, oh yeah, nobody's read it, so why are you celebrating this? These 2 comics right here were also referenced, and look 10 times better on the comic cover than they do in the CGI slop that is this trailer. And I'll be upfront, I haven't read these 2 comics. I'm really not a fan of Todd McFarlane's Spider-Man. I tried reading it. It's really just not good, like anything made by Todd McFarlane. And I don't really know anything about the other one, but I'm not really shocked that you managed to create just a pose of Spider-Man crawling on a wall. Well done. You could have done that for like 40 fucking years. But we're supposed to celebrate it now when you include one slow motion shot. How about you adapt an actual storyline from a Spider-Man comic and don't just make little references in slow motion shots that nobody even knows what they're from. You see here Spider-Man learning to use his powers again because now he has organic webs. For some weird reason, it makes 0 sense and it's a complete de-evolution of his character arc. And I don't even know why I'm using the phrase character arc because Tom Holland's Spider-Man doesn't have one. He started off as a kid trying to learn how to use his powers and eventually he got the hang of it. Oh wait, he didn't. He's still falling around on the ground like a spastic.
In Spider-Man Homecoming, Spider-Man's character arc is him having this advanced suit to help him fight crime. But when it's taken away from him, he feels he can't be a hero without it. But then he realizes that with or without the suit, he still needs to try and do the right thing. In Far From Home, after losing Tony Stark, he just wants to be a normal teenager and spend time with the girl he likes. But unfortunately, he misplaced his trust and now has to take responsibility and fight. In No Way Home, Peter's identity gets revealed, so he asks Strange to help him. But he messes up the spell and causes dangerous people to enter his universe. Unfortunately, the only way to stop the other bad guys from coming to his universe is to make the sacrifice and have everyone he knows and loves forget him.
And running around after fake black MJ.
Nice flowers.
Oh, they're a housewarming gift.
I'm MJ.
You understand why I call him ranting for racists? Because no normal person is this obsessed with race.
See, with classic 80s badass comic characters like Spider-Man and Daredevil, when they couldn't get with their main chick, they usually had somebody else like Black Widow, Elektra, Black Cat. Except Tom Holland doesn't have any of that. So basically, he's a cuck.
That's not what a cuck is, but pop off, Queen.
I'm not dictating what people can like. I'm just saying if you're a Spider-Man fan, and if you call yourself that, then you can't really like this movie.
It's not me telling you you can't like it, he says, while telling you you can't like it.
It's not me telling you can't like it. It's basically just the years of comics with Spider-Man telling you it. That objectively, this isn't a Spider-Man movie.
There you go again, misusing the word objectively. This is a subjective matter.
And this tweet here is saying that Spider-Man fighting the hand is from some random comic that nobody read. And I can tell you right now what Spider-Man fighting the hand is. It's a middle finger in the face of every single Daredevil and Wolverine fan out there. Because anybody that knows anything about Marvel Comics knows that the hand is the enemy of Daredevil, Wolverine. Sure, the hand can fight other characters, but...
So you're acknowledging that this organization can fight other characters. You have proof that they have fought Spider-Man in the comics, which is very important to you, but because it doesn't fit your narrative, you're just going to invalidate it. Seriously, how does anyone listen to this guy and unironically agree with him?
But it's mainly Daredevil and Wolverine, and that's when they were best shown. In two of the best comics ever made, which before you comment any hate comment, make sure you've actually read them, Frank Miller's Daredevil and Frank Miller's Wolverine. This shot of Spider-Man fighting the hand is taken exactly from Frank Miller's Wolverine, issue 2 from 1982, where it was done way better and one of the best superhero stories ever told. And the same goes for Daredevil. The original Frank Miller Daredevil comic beats every single live action superhero movie ever made. That's what being a fan of the comics is. It's turning around and saying that this excellent comic beats any garbage CGI slap movie.
Something I'll never understand is how people want a live action superhero movies but complain about the use of CGI. Like, what do you want them to do? Get real aliens to destroy New York City?
An example of the type of people who lose their mind over the brand new references to the comics which they haven't read. This is exactly what I'm talking about. They even got the attention to detail from the comics. This movie is going to be godlike because they recreated something which is easy to recreate. As I said, how about you actually adapt a good Spider-Man story instead of making something up that makes no sense? Like Spider-Man learning to use his powers after 4 movies of this crap.
Of course Peter is going to struggle with his powers. He's mutating. He hasn't had experience with organic webbing. He's going to need to learn how strong his webs are and what exactly he's capable of.
This exact same guy that was losing his mind saying that it's comic accurate is trying to criticize Sam Raimi's Spider-Man fans because Tobey Maguire's Peter Parker sounds like a guy from the 1950s. Yeah, sorry to break it to you, but that's what Spider-Man and Peter Parker always was. And you're outing yourself as a tourist, a larper, and a fake fan. Spider-Man is always meant to sound like he's from the 1950s, and anything else is a subversion and isn't Spider-Man.
Except the only reason Spider-Man was written that way in the beginning is because that was the era he was created in. As time moves on, slang changes, and as slang changes, the way we write characters will change. Spider-Man is no exception. Tom's Spider-Man is written for the modern era. Now, if his Spider-Man was set in the 50s, then yes, he should be written and sound like he's someone from that time. But he is set in modern society. Therefore, he should sound like someone from modern society.
And speaking of subversions, I just have to get back to this guy again. He just makes everybody else just look like a complete idiot. Saying shit like anime is right-wing and Christian, and so is Spider-Man apparently. You're leaving yourself open to these people, and it's just gonna keep on happening when you don't know anything about the topic you're talking about. But saying that, I don't know which is worse. The guy saying that Spider-Man is a right-wing Christian, or the complete mental retards that think that Spider-Man is a Yiddish Jewish communist.
Nowhere in that tweet does it mention communism. You do realize Judaism and communism are 2 separate ideologies. One's a religious ideology and the other is a political ideology. Judaism and communism do not go hand in hand.
And now we get on to one of the worst elements about this entire piece of shit, is the fact that they're taking from Japan, a much better country for superhero media. I've never really claimed to be a Spider-Man fan. I've always been more of a Devilman guy than a Spider-Man guy.
This whole video was just you rambling on about how much more of a Spider-Man fan you are than everyone else. And now suddenly you're not that into the guy?
Because I'm not really a fan of Spider-Man's morals and just his character over the years. So Japanese heroes like Devilman, Kamen Rider and all of the other ones compared to the American counterpart is really different and they should never ever coincide. But as we've seen with recent comics copying manga, it seems the movies are doing the exact same thing, where the iconic Rider kick is just blatantly ripped off in this garbage scene, which is once again a disgrace to Spider-Man and Kamen Rider, so it's bullshit to even reference it.
It's just a reference. It's not that deep.
If you have any common sense and know that this is pure slop, and you've read the actual comic books of Spider-Man, do let me know and maybe consider subscribing. And if you're one of these woke brain-dead fucking retards off of Twitter who thinks that Peter Parker and Spider-Man is a gay Jewish communist, then go complain to your boyfriend.
Ooh, you're hard showing off.
That's the end of his video. Sorry to put you through that, but it was just so dumb I had to make a video on it. So, the best way I could sum up everything he said in his video would be this.
Mr. Madison, what you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it. I award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul.